On Politics HQ tonight, these are the stories that made our headlines. The Rivers State House of Assembly has extended its ultimatum to RESEC officials by 72 hours after they failed to appear before lawmakers within the initial 48-hour deadline. During plenary in Port Harcourt, lawmakers voted to push the deadline to March 10th, compelling the agency's chairman, Justice Enebeli, and other officials to explain the annulled October 2024 local government election. Speaker Martin Amaewhule-led also noted Governor Siminalayi Fubara's failure to present the 2025 budget within the given time frame. The extension follows the Supreme Court's ruling that voided the 2024 local government polls due to electoral violations, with fresh elections now scheduled for August 9th, 2025.
25. Against, nil. Abstention, nil. By these voting honorable members, this House has resolved that the chairman and the commissioners of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission have another chance to appear before this August Assembly, and more specifically, they are now given a new date, which is the 10th day of March 2025 at 10 a.m. to appear before this August Assembly to answer questions pertaining to their conduct in office as chairman and commissioners of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission.
Let's also tell you that in the news, the Lagos State High Court in Ikeja has adjourned the suit filed by Honorable Mudashiru Obasa challenging his removal as Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly to March 10th. Justice Yetunde Pinheiro directed all parties to submit necessary filings before the next hearing, where both new and pending applications will be considered. Meanwhile, 37 lawmakers, including the Deputy Speaker, are urging the court to dismiss the case, calling it an academic exercise. Obasa, who is contesting his removal over alleged fraud, abuse of office, and misconduct, insists due process was not followed, while some lawmakers argue his ousting was constitutional. However, tonight our focus on the program will be the Rivers political crisis. Supreme Court explains restoration of the Martin Amaewhule-led Rivers Assembly. I'll be speaking with Justice Uhuegbu, a legal practitioner, and also Chuks Uguru, who is also a legal practitioner. At some point, we'll switch gears to discuss Dangote versus NNPCL. Fuel price war. Will consumers benefit? Big question. I'll be speaking with Dr. Taufik Raimi, is a business economist. Welcome. I am Dapo Adigboyi. Let's get the answers. The Supreme Court has shed light on its decision to restore the Martin Amaewhule-led Rivers State House of Assembly. Essentially, the court ruled that there was no evidence to support Governor Siminalayi Fubara's claim that 27 lawmakers defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, that's the APC. The court emphasized that a House of Assembly must be formed as stated in the 1999 Constitution, and that Fubara's actions were unconstitutional. By preventing legislative sittings and shutting down the assembly complex, Fubara effectively collapsed the legislative arm of the state government. Now, here are some key points from that Supreme Court judgment. Number one, no defection. The court found no evidence to support Fubara's claim of defection by the 27 lawmakers. There's also unconstitutional actions, as Fubara's actions were deemed unconstitutional. And the court criticized his attempt to exclude the 27 members and recognize only 4 lawmakers. There's also the issue of restoration of the assembly. The court ordered the immediate restoration of the Martin Amaewhule-led House and the resumption of its legislative functions. There's also funds disbursement, where the court directed the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation to halt funds disbursement to Rivers State until a proper appropriation law is passed by the fully constituted assembly. The Supreme Court's decision has significant implication for governance in Rivers State, emphasizing the importance of upholding the rule of law and the Constitution. Well, joining me on the program to discuss this is Justice Uhuegbu. He's a legal practitioner. He joins virtually from Abuja. I also have Chuks Uguru, is a legal practitioner, also joining from Rivers State. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me start with you, Chuks. I mean, you are in Rivers State. Can you just give us an overview of what the atmosphere is in terms of the political climate? Because since this court ruling, we've been seeing groups and subtle agitation, you know, particularly in support of the governor. Is Rivers stable from your perspective?
It's very calm. People are going about their normal duties in a peaceful manner. Of course, there might be some agitation from pockets of persons because of interest. But generally, the atmosphere in Rivers State is peaceful and is calm. We have not noticed any violence in any quarter. Though the social media may be agog with certain information and news, but I am in Port Harcourt. I have been going about my normal duties, appearing in court and all that, and nobody has threatened the peace in Port Harcourt and in Rivers State. Of course, the agitations are understandable. The sympathy is with the current governor for obvious reason. The entire imbroglio in Rivers State is avoidable if only people can play politics with a little bit of morality and the fear of God. But the politics of winner takes it all is completely bereft of morality and the fear of God. That is where we are today. Regrettably, people, including the elders of the state, rather than come out to make peace, it's a period of compromises. But regrettably, they take sides, and usually the side they take is the side where their bread is buttered. That is a problem we have in Rivers State. I believe that with a little bit of diplomacy, the issues arising can be resolved for the peace of the state and for the interest of the people. It's unfortunate that two men with overblown egos will not mind setting the state on fire just to for their personal interest in politics. The sympathy is with the current governor because we all believe that he should be given the freedom that the people gave him as the first citizen of Rivers State to govern the state. But there are a lot of distractions today, and generally people are not happy about that. But having said that, these two persons, the dramatis personae, most of us were not there when they started. So when we take sides, we should do it with some restraints. Because if you ask me now, I cannot tell you the real reason behind the casus belli. But I think the time has come for both parties to sheathe their swords and call an armistice in the interest of the citizens of the state. But like I have said, the state is calm and peaceful.
All right, let me leave you and, of course, move to Justice. Justice, it's an interesting one we're seeing in Rivers State. I mean, even though this story has been, or this scenario has been lingering for quite a while. But let me ask your take on the Supreme Court's ruling.
As usual, on my normal way, I'll first of all laugh. Why I'm laughing is because it's so unfortunate the political situation we are witnessing in Nigeria today. And it's also so unfortunate that both the executive, the legislative arm, and the judiciary now have been dragged into politics. And I founded this as a note of warning earlier in 2015. If you can remember that any country that the judiciary, starts playing politics, that country is ready to doom. And that is exactly what we are noticing today. Unfortunately, it's our constituency. Yes, there are no two ways about it. But the truth is that we must do the needful. We must look for a way to make sure that this country will get things right the way it should be. If let me tell you, my brother, when you are listening to ourselves, whether we like it or not, the Supreme Court is the last arbiter in every matter in the country. And as a matter of policy and a matter of law, we also aware that the highest court of the country most times gives judgment based on public stability and public safety. Where are we today? It's unfortunate that people can come on.
You said that the highest court sometimes gives judgment based on public stability.
And public safety.
But did that happen in this context?
It will not. That's what I'm saying. You see, this is the discussion we have started. We are going into all these things. We are going to look at the merits and the demerits of certain things that happen. In as much as when you look at a judgment, there are two things that constitute a judgment. The obiter dictum and the ratio decidendi. The ratio decidendi is the reasoning or the legal reasoning why the judgment took the line it took. As far as I'm concerned, some of us will have looked at the judgment holistically. And for me, I did not see a logical legal reasoning for this judgment. As far as I'm concerned, it is all about politics.
All right. Let me take Chuks' perspective on this. Chuks, just like what Justice said, he said sometimes judgments are given, based on public stability in mind, and that did not happen in this context. Do you also share that line of thought?
Well, what I've come to see is that people jump into the fray and criticize the judgments of the Apex Court and other courts without having the opportunity of meditatively reading and digesting the judgments. We take the reports of what is shared on social media and begin to lampoon the justices of the Supreme Court. But let me clear the air on something. The Supreme Court themselves, by Oputa JSC, the legendary secretaries of the Supreme Court, they've admitted that they are final, but that does not mean that they are infallible. Sometimes they make mistakes. But people must be very careful about one thing. Whether the Supreme Court makes mistakes or not, their decision, their judgment is final. And there's no opportunity for appeal to a higher judicial pedestal. So what they say becomes the law of the land. So whether you agree with them or not, that's where we are. But we must be careful of one thing. This matter need not to have dragged to this point. Even the courts, the Supreme Court, the penultimate court, the Court of Appeal, they all have arrangements now for alternative dispute resolution. Now we have come to the final court of the land, and the problem, the imbroglio, is still there. It has not been resolved. The Supreme Court is a policy court. The Supreme Court does not consider sentiments or the emotionalism of people in giving their judgments. And sometimes their judgments may not meet the ends of justice in the expectations of the people. I have read three of the judgments. I agree with some reasoning. I may not agree with some of the reasoning, but I'm not in a position to say that the final court of the land is wrong. All I can do is to criticize some aspects of their judgment. For instance, the aspect of the judgment withholding the allocation to Rivers State, I do not agree with that. The law is an instrument of social engineering as propounded by Dean Roscoe Pound. The law is to improve the society. If you make an order withholding the allocation for the entire state, what happens to the orphan who cannot afford school fees? What happens to the woman, pregnant woman, who has been, these women are faced with mortality, pregnancy problems and all that? How do they provide clinics for these people, free schools for these people? So I do not agree that it was right for them to have withheld the allocation of Rivers State because the citizens, the indigenes of Rivers State are not parties to the case, and these are the end beneficiaries of the allocation. I do not agree with that aspect of it. Maybe I'm being emotional too, but that's my belief, that's my thinking. As for the other areas of the judgment, I have looked at the judgment regarding 4 members of the House of Assembly holding sway as a legitimate assembly. I have read the provisions of the Constitution from the terminus ergo to the terminus ad quem, and I cannot find support for the proposition that 4 members of the State House of Assembly can hold sway and operate as a legitimate assembly. The doctrine of necessity has been propounded, but I want to say it, I may be wrong, that the Constitution, there's no lacuna. If a generality of the members are incapacitated, then there must be an arrangement to fill the House so that they can form a quorum. I'm not speaking for the law. I'm not speaking for any party here.
Okay.
There's also Section 11, Section 4 that talks about the National Assembly taking over legislative duties where the State House of Assembly is incapacitated. That's my honest opinion.
Okay, let me bring in Justice to maybe react to some of the things you've said. And for you said that largely this judgment was not in favor of, will I call it, public peace, so to speak. I would like you to be more specific as to those items in the judgment you felt maybe could have been or should have been different.
Earlier I was thinking my learned colleague was going to the other side. And thank God he later concurred with me that the judgment was not or did not consider public stability or public safety, because he also reflected the issue of withholding the allocation of the state that will affect the people of Rivers State and all the rest. But aside from that, you see, the truth is this, whether we agree or whether we tell ourselves the truth, it's not a matter of the difficulty of being fallible or infallible. No, that's not why we are here. Why we are human beings is the ability to look at the wrong and correct the wrong, especially based on what has happened before. We cannot continue making the same mistakes and for the people to be suffering and to perpetuate in agony every time. You see, the Supreme Court is made up of wise men, and people expect the wise men to do the needful. What I'm trying to say is this, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, this is my personal opinion, and I know my opinion, I will always defend it at any point in time. As far as I'm concerned, this judgment was mainly based on political, was political. As far as I'm concerned. If you remember,
are you saying every item of the judgment?
Well, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming. You see, when somebody preempts the outcome of a judgment and it goes like that, what do you expect? The Minister of Justice was seen bragging on social media. I watched it that he is going to get, the judgment on his side, and it happened that way. Then what are we expecting? And what are we telling the people? You see, my problem is this: the minister should be very careful so that these politicians should not drag us to the mud. And it's happening in almost all the states. Look at what is happening today. But after all, whether we like it or not, the issue of defection, these are House members who were elected on the platform of PDP, and they defected to APC. This is what happened. They came out openly and said it. And remember, there's also a court judgment that said that you cannot defect except there is crisis in your political party. And at the time they defected from PDP to APC, there was no crisis in PDP in Rivers State. So what are people telling? What are we trying to say? We should be realistic and tell ourselves the truth in this country if we want to move forward and get things right. As far as I'm concerned, the people of Rivers State is going to suffer this. And like now, we are getting fillers and hearing a reaction from Rivers people, from this group, from this group, and nobody knows the next thing that will happen. That is why I said that the Supreme Court, being the highest court in the country, will consider certain things: one, public safety, public stability, and public morality in giving judgment. There's no two ways about it. And not just like you said, when you look at the ratio that decided that matter, you begin to understand that whether you like it or not, there are some political undertones inside it. You know, some of us have read the judgment. That's my personal opinion anyway. But the truth is this: as a law officer, we should not in any way make people to be outlawed in any society. That is my submission.
Okay. All right. Let me, of course, take Chuks' reaction, if at all, to some of the things you said. And in the coming weeks or in the coming, maybe months, what do you see as the implication of this judgment on governance and administration in the state? Are we looking at a scenario where I would have the executive being the governor, at further loggerheads with the House? Maybe that might, as rumored by many, lead to an impeachment. How would this impact on governance in Rivers State?
Well, the situation more complicated, both for the House, the legislature of Rivers State. And that is why I said before now that this situation ought not to have reached this crescendo. I will expect, and that's my honest prayer, that the gentlemen of the House will be more understanding. Government is one. It's just that we have three branches: the executive, the legislature, and the executive. But the three of them must work in cahoots, in cooperation with each other, in the interest of the citizenry. But that appears not to be happening. So the issue of the judgment we have come to is a time when we will say no victor, no vanquished. There's no contest here. The only people who need to benefit from the system are the people of Rivers State. So if the members of the House, the 25 or 26 members, grandstand to say we have won and they want to put the governor in straitjacket, it will not work because he remains the executive governor, the primus inter pares, the first citizen of the state. So everybody should chew the humble pie. The members of the House should humble themselves. They should be noble, even in victory. That's where we are. Otherwise, there will continue to be cataclysm in the state. You cannot box the number one citizen to a corner. It has never happened. He has the state apparatus. He has the treasury of the state, even though with the Supreme Court judgment, the finances of the state may have been put into a straitjacket. So I expect them to give him that respect. I also expect that the governor himself will be able to make some compromises. It's time to call an armistice. If they continue this way, the Supreme Court judgment has not solved any problem. And that is why there's the alternative dispute resolution. I expect the elders of the state to come forward and call a spade a spade. A number of lawyers have made their money. Some were business people. But this is no longer, the court cannot help the matter anymore. What is required is political solution. The governor that I have seen is a humble man, and he's even ready for compromises. So let these other people, the gentlemen in the House, let them know that the time has come to work in the interest of Rivers State. But if we continue this way, of course, if we can't settle the matter legally, we'll settle it the other way. But that will bring internecine results, results that will not favor anybody.
All right. Just quickly, too, I'd like to come to you, Justice. What do you see as the ripple effect of this in governance in the state? And do you see, just like many are speculating, an impeachment process happening at any point against the governor?
I know that definitely they will try, but they will not succeed because the clouds are gathering. And the more this is happening, the more the governor is getting more accolades, more backups, and more people of sentiment on his side. Because whether we like it or not, this or not ought to have gotten to this stage. It is just like most times we say it requires political solution, political solution. Why must all these things require political solution? Look at what is happening in the National Assembly. I mean, most of we should be ashamed to be discussing some of these things on national television. It's so unfortunate that we cannot do the right thing. My little friend is calling them honorable gentlemen. Are they behaving like the honorable gentlemen? I mean, I don't know where we are going. I don't know how we have gotten ourselves to this level. If you are called, well, I don't blame them. I don't blame any of them. Because as far as I'm concerned, 90% of the people who have in power in all over the country, across the country, in various states today, we are not genuinely elected.
You said they are not genuinely elected. What do you mean by not genuinely elected? But elections are conducted in many of these places.
They are ways to that office. Because if they are genuinely elected, they must have the interest of the people at heart as leaders. Because the leader must lead his passion. While the leader does not know what is passion, they are leaders, they are not leaders. And that is what is clean up in this country. So easy. Anybody can take it or leave it, but that is just the truth. And until we tell ourselves the truth, we must persist and continue in error. So we must begin to do the right thing. If we want this country to move forward, the country is we are gradually pushing ourselves to collapse without knowing it. People are jubilating. Look at people jubilating, dancing. You call them honorable men. I mean, your state is suffering, your country is suffering, nothing is moving, and you're jubilating. Where are we going? It's shameful.
You know, I just want to ask you, I'm staying with you, Justice, and I want to ask you, I mean, what do you suggest that Governor Fubara should do right now? I mean, some are saying maybe he should just, you know, eat the humble pie and make amends or kiss the ring of his former boss. That's in person of the Minister of the FCT. What should he do?
The Minister of FCT has been a governor for 8 good years. Nobody disturbed him. Nobody was interested. Nobody gave him this kind of thing. He's not a minister. He's joining a higher position, or well, whether higher or not, he's joining a federal position. What is his interest in River State? Can't he do away with this godfatherism for Christ's sake? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Fubara should continue what he's doing. He's the #1 season of River State, and let's see how the whole game will play up. They call it again, so to say. Let's see how the game will play up. But I bet you that whatever the minister is planning will not work. Go, mark my word. It will not. River State is a peculiar state. That's just the truth.
Right.
The clouds are gathering already.
All right. Let me finally also ask Chuks the same question. What should Governor Fubara do at this time?
Well, let me observe that it will appear that the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court misapprehended the nature of the governor of Rivers State. Maybe the facts were not properly put before them, and that was why they used some of the calumniating words they used. The governor has already said they will, in total fidelity to the judgment, carry out the decisions reached, the orders made by the court. And I'm aware that he has directed that local government elections be held. He has directed the elected local government chairman to stand down, and also directed the head of administration in the various local governments to take over administration temporarily. As far as I'm concerned, that is to show that he has started obeying the judgment of the Supreme Court, because he recognizes that the Supreme Court is the last court of the land. I have said it's a time for compromises. The people in the River State House of Assembly, the 25 or 26 members, should give the governor room to maneuver. They should not equal and opposite. So extend the olive branch to them. Let us have a common house. The Constitution delineated River State into 32 constituencies for obvious reasons, so the people can have proportionate representation. So I don't see this quarrel ought not to be personal. It is political, and it can be resolved politically with some measure of diplomacy. So the governor is already taking steps to ensure that the judgment of the Supreme Court is obeyed. So let the other side give him room to maneuver. Right. The elders should come in at this and say enough is enough.
All right, Justice Uhuegbu, legal practitioner from Abuja, and also Chuks Uguru, also a legal practitioner. Gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you. Thank you for your time on the program. It's been a pleasure.